Good evening, folks. Well, the moment that at least I have been waiting for quite a while has arrived. In half an hour from now, my first actual YouTube video will be on the books, and I hope it's good. But you know, it's my first one.
Oh,
so
come on! You know it's good.
I'm not too interested in whether or not it's the best things in sliced bread or what have you. I just am glad that I actually got it finished. So anyway, welcome to SoStream. And here we are in my living room as usual. We are going to have a little tea party. I have my tea right here. It is a red dragon chai.
I've got mine too. It's resting on the cat food at the minute.
And I would love to know if, since this is, of course, a tea party after all, you are drinking your tea and what kind you like to drink, whether or not you have it with you tonight. I also would love to know what you are working on. Right now, I am still, I know, guys, okay? Like, do not judge. I'm still working on this apron ribbon. And it's been how many weeks now? I don't even know. But it's almost done. Over halfway done? I don't know. I only really ever work on it when we're in SoStreams right now because I've been so busy outside of YouTube land, unfortunately. But that's okay. So I thought that today we would chat a little bit about my vision for this little YouTube channel of mine. And I would give you a little bit of information gleaned mostly from you guys and from the ideas of you and myself and what I see and envision in the future for this channel moving forward. The first thing I will say is that SoStreams, of course, are not going away. And I want to, of course, introduce, as always, Lawrence, who is at the helm.
Hello.
And he will be moderating our wonderful chat. So make sure you say hello and be nice to each other. But, of course, be nice or we will make sure that you get the boot. So we need to make sure that we practice civility in all of our conversations. And I know that most of us are pretty good at that. So thank you very much, everyone who watches these SoStreams. And welcome to anybody who is new. So who do we have, Lawrence?
We have a bunch of people on the line today. I've said on the line again. I mean on the live stream. And we have, in no particular order, we have Peg, we have Shauna, we have Sandra, we have Cassie, we have other Cassie, we have Renee, we have Candace, we have Tartan Tabby, we have I missed any? Let's see, let me scroll up. We have Sandra. And that, I think, is it of the people that have announced themselves.
Okay, great. Well, hello to everyone. And if you haven't announced yourself yet, then we do not bite, I promise. So feel free to say hello in the chat box. I am Tara, of course, your weekly SoStream host. And this is kind of a virtual sewing circle. We do a lot of crafting as well. We talk about issues. And we generally just sit and commiserate together weekly, of course. So yeah, let's talk about what's happening on this channel now moving forward. So Lawrence and I have been in some talks and in some planning, and now actually in some filming and some doing and some editing of what is going to be a Thanksgiving series. And the first video tonight is part of that series, and it's basically the quintessential Thanksgiving meal items. Now, if you're not from the US or you're not watching from the US, which I know a few of you are not, this might still be of interest to you because, of course, Lawrence, coming from the UK, has had to do his fair share of dealing with some of our strange and exotic cultural differences here in the United States.
You noticed then. Interesting.
And so along those lines, this is actually this first series that I'm going to do is a collaboration between myself and him on his channel, which of course is Lost in the Pond, for those of you who are not aware. And we're going to be discussing some of the differences in holiday foods, both for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, and maybe even for other holidays down the line. But those are the first two that we're going to concentrate on in the next month or so. So I would love your feedback on this. I kind of already know what we want to do for the menu, but of course, after this SoStream, if you would be so kind as to watch the video and give me feedback, both, positive and whatever you think that I can improve on, then that's always wonderful in the comments below. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So the first one is going to be a particularly rough side dish that is either love or hate for most people. And for a really long time, I hated it. But now, well, I guess you'll just have to see really how I feel about it. And that part of it will be coming tomorrow on Lost in the Pond. So what's everybody drinking? What's everybody working on?
We got some shout out tonight. This is from Shauna for Earl Grey tea.
All right.
There you go. And also a bunch of other teas as well. I should call to attention. Cassiopeia is drinking lavender tulsi tea.
Ooh.
And then we also have, where was it? I've lost it. Oh, there we go. Peg has recently discovered hibiscus tea and loving it.
Very nice. I absolutely love tulsi teas. I actually have a tulsi chai that I drink pretty regularly too. I didn't know that they made a lavender tulsi tea, so I'm going to have to look for that. I do like a good hibiscus as well. Not sure that I love Earl Grey. I know that this is always a personal preference thing.
Yeah, it's very divisive.
It is. I don't know. What is the flavor that is strong in Earl Grey? I can't remember what it actually is made of. So if you remember, please put it in the chat box. But I know that whatever that is, oh, I remember now. I think bergamot, right? I believe it's bergamot that they add to it. Because I like black tea on its own, like a breakfast tea, but bergamot is just weird to me. I don't know.
Bergamot has been confirmed.
All right, that's what I thought it was. So I'm not the biggest fan, and I know that I've gotten a gift in the past of like a bergamot vanilla Earl Grey, and I actually, fun fact, I use it to clean my floors with, because actually, believe it or not, tea is very good for cleaning floors with, as long as it's not like one that has dye in it, which, let's be real, you probably shouldn't be drinking anyway. But yeah, so I use it to clean my floors with, because I don't really love the taste of it, but I do love the smell since it's like a vanilla bergamot tea. What else have we got there, Lawrence? Are people working on things, or do we have more tea discussions?
A little bit of both. Renee's favorite black tea is English breakfast tea, and favorite herbal tea is ginger.
Very nice. I like a good ginger tea as well. And yeah, breakfast tea, I mean, like, you can't beat it, right? That's just the basics. Over the time, you've grown to like it a bit more, right, Lawrence?
A little bit. This raspberry flavored one is quite nice.
But that's not black tea. That's literally just raspberry flavored, like, herbal tea. Yeah, it's late enough here, being, almost 8:30 at night, that we felt like we probably shouldn't have any more caffeine for the day. And plus, between you and me, I'm a little nervous about this YouTube video coming out.
I'm excited.
So I could not struggle with the idea of having any more caffeine today.
3 years from now, you'll be doing a video of you reacting to your first video.
We'll see. For now, I'm just a little bit nervous and excited about it. So I hope that you all go and see it afterward. And if not, that's okay. No pressure. But I'm very nervous about it.
Sandra says, no tea for me right now. I'm drinking a Kavita, or is it Kavita, watermelon rose probiotic.
That sounds amazing. I have no idea what that is. But watermelon, probiotic, I'm sold.
As we discussed yesterday, I have problems with watermelon myself.
I like watermelon, personally. I don't know why you don't. It's a strange thing to me. It's lovely and sweet and crisp and fresh. All of the things that you seem to not like very much, I guess.
And what have we got here? There's some strange autocorrect going on with Tartan Tabby, who hates vanilla in Texas, which actually was supposed to be hates vanilla in tea.
Ah, right. You hate vanilla in tea as well. So yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? I don't know. Like, I like vanilla in most things, but in tea, it's a weird one. It just doesn't mesh well with me, personally. Yeah. So let's talk about this channel a bit more. I know I'm like rambling a lot tonight. Like I said, I'm nervous. You can probably visibly tell it and even smell it through your camera. And for that, I don't know, do I apologize? I guess it's just a human emotion, isn't it? We don't really need to apologize for nervousness because it's something that everyone goes through. So there's your PSA for the evening. I was a teacher, some of you may know this, for about 7 years. And I am convinced, after having worked in both public and private school systems, that I was a home ec teacher in another life. I actually taught the arts. And that was fun. But I think my place would have been in home economics had there been the opportunity to still actually teach that, because I feel like I am a pretty crafty individual. I feel like I have, some skills, and I'm also interested in bettering myself in terms of those skills on a level that maybe most people, even before the 21st century, weren't interested in. And that is perfectly fine, because of course we all have to have our own special abilities and talents, right? But I found myself, when I would get very, very stressed out from teaching or whatever job I was having at the time, coming home and baking and crafting and just kind of like using my hands to get out of my head. And I convinced myself that yes, in another life, home ec definitely would have been where my talents went to. So as such, I really want this channel to be kind of a fusing of historic skills and vintage style with the 21st century, and how to use those and incorporate those things into a lifestyle that is very different from pretty much any lifestyle that's come before us. I think that it's very easy in the 21st century to get super overwhelmed by everything, by time, by consumption. And I don't mean like consumption as in, tuberculosis. I mean literally consumption of things like YouTube. And I think that I might be here to give some insight into dealing with this culture that we have created for ourselves on a level that maybe a lot of people don't necessarily think about or don't care about on the level that I do. And so that's where the channel is kind of going in terms of topic. I want to talk about food. I want to talk about the history and the science and the skill and preparation of food and of diet and of implementation. Obviously, that's where we're starting with the Thanksgiving meal. I also want to talk about crafting and sewing, and I would like to talk a little bit about time management. I want to talk about the idea of cultivating a healthy social media presence without having to completely eschew it. For lack of an understanding of how social media itself affects us and how it works. I want to talk about, actually, before I go any further, I want to talk about our crafter of the week, who is Cassie Hall from Facebook. And I believe she's watching tonight, but she made some really cool shorts. And I know that they, don't fit all that well, because let's be honest, sometimes we do that to ourselves. We make something and then we don't really realize how the fabric is going to affect us. And so we have to make another one. But that's what mock-ups are for, right? Well, the mock-up of these shorts is pretty fabulous. And I don't know if I even would be able to sew that kind of a project, since I'm not really a pants person. I have made like closures and zippers and things for pants in the past, but I've never actually made a full set of trousers before. So kudos to you, Cassie, for your shorts. And if you would like to be on our sew stream featured as a crafter of the week, then you can use the hashtag #CraftyVintageLady. And I look forward to seeing all of your posts and commenting on them and liking them and sharing them, and then featuring you on our sew streams. So yes, those are all some things that I would really like to talk about in terms of our channel. So I would love your feedback. What do you all think of this? Because I know that for a while here, I've been kind of asking you where you think we should go with, especially the sew streams, but the channel itself, of course, is something that I'm very interested in furthering as well. And of course, I want you guys to watch, because otherwise, why on earth would I be doing it, right? I would love for you to see the things that I come up with. So, Lawrence, with that in mind, can you let me know what the discussions are? Because I see that grin over there. It looks like something's happening in the chat box.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just following, firstly, all of the Yay Cassie comments, which is always good, including our own. And we have feedback here from Tart and Tabby. It is a great direction for your channel. Okay, great. Well, I really appreciate it, Tart and Tabby. Anybody else have any way to weigh in? Like, are there any topics that you would like to see? Is there any subject matter that you would like to discuss further, either on SoStreams or see me tackle in terms of my research and in terms of my videos that I make? And Peg says, I am excited about the direction that you are planning to take the channel. I know lots of people who will be interested. Oh, great. And that's another thing too. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but it really helps us out, especially the little guy, us teeny tiny YouTubers, if you share us and if you like us pretty regularly, and especially if you watch through the entirety of the video. Because believe it or not, the way that YouTube videos get recommended to you a lot of times, not always, but this is part of the algorithm, is through watch time. So the more that you watch the video of a YouTube creator that you like, then the more likely it is to be shared both with you and with other people, which means that helps us in the end. So that is really good feedback that you guys are interested in the direction of this channel. A lot of talk here around the cathartic nature of baking and crafting, cooking, etc. Tart and Tabby says that all of these things help deal with stress and anxiety. And similarly, Candace says that baking is my go-to thing to help with stress. I agree with that. And I also would argue that there's maybe a very visceral reason for that. And that is, honestly, that these are life skills, aren't they? They're skills that honestly everyone should at least have a basic understanding of. Everyone should be able to sew on their own button, for example. Everyone should be able to use measuring cups or depending on where you live in the world, be able to use some kind of measurement device, even if it's just weights or what have you. I personally go between both because it depends on the recipe, honestly, for me. And you will see on my website as well that I try, sometimes I forget. And if I do, please comment because I can always update them. But on my website, I always try to include both the universal measurements in metric and the American measurements. So that pretty much anybody can use my recipes to their heart's content. I've seen a couple of people, and this was, I think Peg said this, and now Sharon, that they're glad that they learned sort of basic sewing skills at school because it's not really taught anymore. I am too, yeah. It's not something that I really cared too much about until I got to college when, I went to theater school. So I really needed that set of skills and certainly built upon them quite a lot when I was at college. But I at least knew how to sew on a button before I got to college. And in fact, I had done a little bit of piecework with, family business in high school as well. And I just feel like it's confusing to me and sad to me that most people either don't know these skills or don't care about these skills at all. Because I feel like, again, everyone needs to know these things. What if, a button pops off of your shirt in the middle of your workday? What are you going to do? It only takes 5 minutes to sew a button back on. You may as well go ahead and get to it. But if you don't know that skill, how are you expected to do so? And in fact, probably what will happen, though I can't speak for everyone, is that you'll be at a loss, you'll throw the whole shirt away, and then you'll buy a whole new one. And it's so bad for the environment, right? It's not very respectful of your clothing, of yourself, and of the world around you to think in those terms, I think. So Sandra says that she has 0 sewing skills, but interested in learning and loves to cook. In response to the former there, Tart and Tabby reassured her by pointing out the massive sewing fail that she put out on Instagram. The famous at this point among us, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and again, I wouldn't call it a fail. I would call it a first attempt, right? It is generally accepted by those of us who sew regularly that you are not going to get a skill down in the first try. And in fact, even professionals all the time have to rip out their garments and start fresh. So it's really, really important to understand that none of us are perfect, and that beginning is always a good place to start, because there's just so much in terms of skill to learn out there when it comes to pretty much anything. But I'd say with sewing, you can dive really, really deep into lots of different subject matter and not know or even consider one area of sewing, but be an expert in another. So for example, I've never quilted, and I'm not sure that I ever will. I'm fascinated by the idea of it, and I love the history behind all of it. But as someone who makes garments specifically, I probably personally, unless I'm, asked to do it for some specific reason, won't be quilting myself anytime soon, nor will I be knitting, because it's just not something that I ever had any interest in learning when I am interested in doing other projects. So none of us are an expert in every kind of sewing scenario.
We have, this is an interesting one that Shauna says, I'm a short woman. I've been sewing hems in pants for years.
Yeah, that's my mama as well. Hopefully, cross fingers. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am hosting Thanksgiving this year. I'm very excited about it, but my grandmother is coming to visit us, and I'm hoping, cross fingers, that I can get her to do a video with me. So you might even get to see her on a video here in the next few weeks, but it's up to her, of course. She may or may not be okay with that.
This is according to Peg. Adam Savage made a really nice comment recently about the importance of iteration. You have to be prepared for a few attempts.
It's absolutely right. I agree wholeheartedly. So some other things that I would like to explore on the channel are style and fashion, of course. I mean, let's be real here. That's probably why all of you guys found me to begin with. I am, talked about for my bizarre, if anything, sense of fashion. And so I would really like to talk about things like hair care and how to craft your own style, how to feel okay inside yourself while you're going through that transition. Because I feel like, honestly, I'm still going through transitions. I will never stop evolving my style. And I feel like that's very important. And also something that maybe gets left behind in some of these discussions a lot. I'm also, of course, very interested in historic garments and their construction. I am interested, of course, in the everyday dress of vintage and retro styles. And I'm also a little bit interested in the idea, at least, of cosplay. I attempt it occasionally. It's very on the side for me. I generally more go in for Halloween and that sort of thing, but the things that people make cosplay wise just astound me. So I am interested in maybe going down that facet a little more. But really mostly it's, the daily wear aspect of how to incorporate all of these things into your life that is most interesting to me.
Putting you on the spot, this is Sandra's question. Who would you cosplay as?
Well, right now I'm still in the midst of trying to make 2 ABBA robes. But I hope, and I'm not going to promise anything, but I hope that since Lawrence is planning on going as Han to the opening of episode 9, that I will be your Leia. So
how about that?
We shall see if I have time to do that between now and then. But that is what I'm hoping to start off with.
Nice. I'm excited. I already have the clothes for Han Solo, so I'm good. What else have we got here? We have, this is interesting. On the theme, I suppose, that you would be an amazing Disney I don't know the word, bounder.
Oh, Disney Bounder. Sure, of
Uh-huh.
course. I've always wanted to do that. And as a kid, I was obsessed with Mickey Mouse. I had an entire Mickey Mouse themed bedroom. Not just the bed sheets, guys, or the cover. The entire bedroom was Mickey Mouse themed, okay? So yes, I have every intention someday of doing some kind of a bound. It's just we don't live anywhere near any Disney stuff, which is really sad. So that's probably one that's a ways away yet, but I love the idea of doing that, yes.
Here's a good question. This is from Tartan Tabby, and there's a reason this is. I'll mention it in a minute. She asks, will it be vintage Leia or just regular Leia? And the reason that's interesting to me is that when we were at the Renaissance Fair, I was wearing a waistcoat and sort of, flowing pants, and I thought I looked a little like a Renaissance era Han Solo. So are you able to do that for vintage fashion and Leia?
I love the idea of that. I highly doubt that I'll have time, just because we have, just over a month away, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I have all these videos I still got to make for y'all first. So I don't know. We'll see. No guarantees. That would be ideal for sure. I love the idea of in fact, Rachel Maxey's Make It Vintage series. Oh my God, I love it. But I just don't know if I have time for that, for this specific cosplay. We'll see.
That's so strange. Just as you said that, and I think it wasn't prompted by it, Sharon asks, do you want Rachel Maxey?
I absolutely love Rachel Maxey. I have been watching her, since you guys both had the same follower count, right? 9,000 or something.
We did have, and then she just exploded.
And she just went crazy with the Nick stuff and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lawrence and Rachel Maxey were baby YouTubers together.
Yes, we were. I mean, we never met. That would be a lie.
I would love to meet her sometime, though. I don't know. Maybe you guys should start a campaign, and then we can go and we can Disney bound together or something. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. So a little bit of an elaboration on bounders, because I didn't know what they were either. Bounders, this is from Peg, bounders use fashion to interpret a character. So rather than a direct costume, it's a fashionable outfit that harkens images of the character.
That is probably the most descriptive and best example of a definition of bounding that I've ever heard. So very good job.
Anytime you can use the word harkens, you're on the right track.
Yes, for sure.
That's just my feeling on it. And Tartan Tabby agrees it would be incredible to meet Rachel Maxey. It would. Maybe she's watching in secret right now.
It's highly unlikely. In fact, more likely she's playing a video game because, let's be real, that's what she does in her time off.
Wait, she's not vintage her whole day round. I thought that's all she did.
I believe that's the whole point of my channel, Lawrence.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So along those lines, a little background about myself. So once upon a time, baby Tara, and by baby I mean 12-year-old Tara, went to Williamsburg and Jamestown and basically all of the kind of southern East Coast hideaways for historic interpretation pretty regularly for vacations. And my father was a history teacher before he became a school administrator. And so from a very early age, the love of history was instilled in me. And I actually, fun fact, am 3 credits away from a double major in history. So I have a minor in history. I just don't quite have that double major, unfortunately. However, between that and my work as a historic interpreter early on in my career before I became a teacher, and just work in museums and libraries in general, it kind of made me more and more interested in the daily lives of women all the way through history. And specifically, as we gravitated some of the changes that have happened over time, specifically during the more tumultuous parts of history, like the 20s and the 60s, and times when we began to assert our confidence a bit more, or maybe we were allowed, by society to become more independent. in terms of maybe our personalities or our workplaces or the way that we live in general. And I started to continue my research on this when I started to get burned out as a teacher. And the more that I researched it, the more I was just fascinated by some of the surprises that have taken place over, the centuries, essentially, when it comes to women's daily lives, and some of the misconceptions that a lot of people believe that may or may not actually be true. And the beautiful thing about history and the study of it is that it's ever evolving. And so I feel like it's time now for me to be a part of that process, because I think for a long time, I've been kind of an active observer, but I haven't actually been entrenched in this whole thing that we call historic interpretation. And now I want really to be able to share not just my knowledge, but my excitement and my interest in some of the really crazy things that have happened in history and how that affects women and really anybody today.
We have a lot of agreement for that. And Peg said that I would love to hear some of that historical info included in some of your videos. Tartan Tabby agrees. And Peg also says, ooh, just got the notice that your video is up, which means, by the way, we are past the half hour.
Yes, that's right.
We have to let folks go to watch your new video.
So, yeah, really the only thing that I want to ask you before you go is, of course, like I said, I've been an active observer of the study of history for a really long time, which means I have quite a list of books that you could read. And I'm interested in maybe doing book reviews and even doing book lists, perhaps on my blog. I don't know if YouTube is the best medium for that. We'll see. I don't know. I won't ever say no to something. But I want to know what your thoughts are on that as well, because I like the idea of maybe even the So streams evolving sometimes into like a book circle or a book club. So let me know what you think about that in the chat box or in the comments after we've finished the video. And I hope you enjoy my first video ever. Let me know what you think and have a wonderful night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.